Hey, I've got a question from a logistical point of view. Being an event coordinator, I know what kind of work it is to organize an event. What's it like organizing a team that does not live in different cities but lives in different countries?
Well, communication is going to be your main. You have to have communication, and on top of communication, you have to have a plan. If you have those two things, then you've got the making for something successful. We didn't start out with a plan. I sort of came into it early on, but we didn't have a plan. I mean, let's add this in there, so we added that. But trying to coordinate it now, I mean, now that we have a core group of people, the biggest challenge is just trying to keep everybody pushing forward and doing it, because we really get nothing out of this. I mean, we don't make any money off a mod. So I mean, you ask yourself, well, you guys have spent almost 3 years developing this mod. Well, what are you getting at? Well, I guess we get the satisfaction that we actually have a group of gamers out there who like what we do and like what we've made, but just trying to keep the drive going forward. Because I know Urban Tear doesn't pay the bills. And I mean, we got, it sounds funny, but we got some guys, I mean, you'll sit there, I do it myself, I'll sit there and spend 40 or 50 hours a week working on Urban Tear, and our language is. Sometimes he would say something, and you'd have to look at it, read it a couple times, thinking, okay, now is he upset because we did something, or is he mad at us? But you talk to him and you get a clarification, or if you've talked to him before, you know what he's trying to convey. So I mean, the language barrier only really with German, because he's been really the only one who doesn't have English as his primary language.
Why not? I've done a little bit of communicating overseas, and I've also run into the time zone barrier, which is also just maddening at times. So you know that all of your problems can be fixed with a phone call. And,
it's easy when you go from like the West Coast to the UK, but now you throw the international date line in there and go, okay, what time and what day is it in New Zealand? I'm even throwing Greenwich Mean Time up there, and okay, now you're adding on your fingers, okay, it's 18 hours tomorrow over there. But
anybody else?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Hey, I got a question. What made you decide to use the Quake 3 engine as opposed to, say, granted Counter-Strike has been already out there, how long? I think maybe 4 or 5 years or so, maybe roughly the same time as Urban Tear, maybe a little longer. With the UT platform that came out, what made you pick the Quake 3 engine upon which to base Urban Terror?
It was actually decided upon before I got there. The guy who started, his name was Bod Killer, and as I said, he basically didn't really want to make a mod, he just wanted to make a map pack, a realism map pack for Quake 3, and I mean, really the only, if you want to call it a realistic weapon in Quake 3 was the machine gun. So you would only have the machine gun, and you'd have, realistic type setting, streets and offices, things like that. And that was sort of decided at that point, but when the team really started to pick up steam, we got more members involved, there was really a void left for the Quake 3 community. Everybody had Action Quake, and then the A team who did Action Quake decided to move to the Unreal Tournament engine because they thought that was going to be the next big engine. So that left a void for Quake. I mean, all the Quake players were sitting there playing Action Quake, and a lot of them actually moved over to Half-Life for Counter-Strike, and there was nobody there. So while the engine was actually chosen for us, I mean, we were just sort of in the right spot at the right time and took advantage of it. I mean, really, I don't want to say there was competition, because over the years, I mean, there's been countless other realism mods, and somebody will eventually come into our forums and say, oh, everybody's going to go away from Urban Tear and play such and such a mod. Okay, competition's a good thing. I mean, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get myself in any trouble here.
No, it's like what you say. Without the competition, you wouldn't be going through, your beta 1 to your beta 2 to your beta 2.1, and with all the upgrades, the community feedback must be a tremendously wonderful thing for your project. You get to interact with the people who play your game. You get to make changes to please most, but obviously, as you said before, not all. It must be an extremely rewarding experience.
Well, competition sometimes it can get really brutal. I mean, we're good friends with the guys who did Quake 3 Fortress, and they're now Splash Damage who did Enemy Territory. I've started talking to the guys who do a competing mod called True Combat, and we've been talking back and forth, but it's the communities who start to interact, and sometimes they don't see eye to eye about a feature, or how, you know, maybe Sid runs Urban Tear as opposed to how Team Terminator runs True Combat. And I know these guys are laughing because I never talk about True Combat. But you know, sometimes they'll get a little. There'll be a little bit of a battle between the communities, and sometimes that sort of interaction is really useless. It really is. I mean, it's just continuous arguments and bickering back and forth about who's got the best mod, and, you know, your mod's going down, and yeah, I got, you know, bigger problems to deal with than, you know, this sort of crap going on. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, getting feedback from the community, it's just gotten better over the last, actually since 2.0. The community's just been outstanding. Can't say enough about them.
That's great to hear. Does anyone else have any questions?
I'll pass the mic over. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm the Warlord. That's my handle. You said you've got the core team pretty much established and everything. You guys working on beta 3 and everything. Do you foresee like the core team expanding at all as maybe like the game picks up steam or something?
Well, right now, yeah, like I said, the team, you know, the door is never closed. I mean, if somebody came with us with some outstanding work, like for example, we didn't bring this guy who does bot AI, artificial intelligence, onto the team. He's a researcher down in Texas for the University of Texas, and he's got a grant or something. So he's actually working on artificial intelligence, and a lot of the training simulators today, what do they use? They use video games. The military is huge on this. So seeing as we have somewhat of a realistic environment in Urban Terror, he's using our game as a platform to do bot AI. So we're going to benefit out of that, because we're going to get all his work and all his time he's put into it to make our bots work for Urban Terror. So it's sort of a twofold thing. But you know, that's just one example. I mean, he came to us, and we've had actually a few people come to us with, you know, hey, here's a model of a Mac 10. You guys want it? You can have it. Can I be on the team? And you sort of have to take some of those people with a grain of salt. I mean, you know, their heart's in the right place, but I mean, realistically, you can't take everybody who comes asking for a position. I mean, some people are doing, you know, some people have done it and they've actually gotten something out of it. I mean, we've had guys hired at Raven, at Bungie, 40 Rulers, and I thought one more. Or maybe not. But for them, it's been a stepping stone. So when they vacate, I mean, obviously, we're going to have to try to fill that vacancy somewhat. But even at this far along in the development stage, I mean, there's really not much that, well, I'm not going to say that because there's a lot we have to do, but it's really hard now to bring somebody who's new onto the team because the team interacts so well. And we're now using the community to help support, I mean, our development. I mean, we got people out there doing models for us, doing skins for us, they're doing our user interface for us. So it's, you know, well, we're the main development team. I mean, the community's really put a lot of, some of these guys have put a lot of time and effort, not only into helping the development team and the core game, but I mean, making maps, websites, things like that. So, I mean, it's like I said, a community effort, really, it is.
Cool. I had another question, but I can't think of it right now.
Oh, you're fired.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask?
We're paying you for this, you know.
9800?
What's up? My name's Evil, and I'd like to pick your brain about Beta 3, if you want to divulge anything. Is there going to be any type of, like, I don't know, I've always been wondering, like, a wall or a landmine, something to place
Explosives. Yes.
explosives.
Chip mines.
Not really. We sort of ruled that out a while ago because the way we thought it would probably promote camping. I mean, you get a sniper who would take him and he'd plant him at the end of a hallway. So now, obviously, unless you could defuse it somehow, I mean, somebody's going to walk by there and A, they're either going to die or set it off, so this guy's going to know you're coming. And that's sort of one thing that I guess we use that quite often as our argument. No, we don't want that, it's going to promote camping. And, you know, we're trying to keep the speed of the mod up because that's how the Quake 3 community wants it. And, you know, that's our main core gamers there, so we try to listen to them and please them.